StraightallDay.com.
How I build systems. Now, you hear people talking about systems a lot these days in business in general. I talk about systems a lot here on the show. I want you all to understand exactly how I build and what my process is for building systems, because the good thing about systems, as opposed to, let's just say, God-given natural talents or personality traits, is that a system can apply in any space. It can apply in any industry, and any person can use a system when that system is properly constructed. You can actually use a system even if it's poorly constructed, but a good system is better than a bad one. And not only do I build systems for myself, but because of the way that I think and my skill level at what I do professionally, I also build systems for people like you, and I build systems for others, and I know how to make those systems work. I know how to operate, edit, change, and install systems to help people achieve the outcomes that you are looking to achieve. So one of the things that gets done when you come into Work on Your Game University is that we build out systems, not only for, let me back up. We build out processes not only for you to achieve what you want to achieve, but how do we make this into a system so that things can happen consistently and be consistently gotten done. So today, let's talk about how that happens and what my process is specifically for doing this. And we're going to knock all this out in one episode. Just want to make sure this is not a multi-part. One episode on this. Number one topic, once again, is how I build systems. Number one, we start with outcomes, not activities. When you're building a system, your starting point is what is the outcome that we want to achieve, not what are the activities that we need to do. And a lot of people get it messed up when it comes to building systems by doing it the wrong way. They start talking about, well, what are the things that I need to do? Well, I need to write this many pages, or I need to record this many episodes, or I want to have a course with this many modules, or I need to go to the gym this many days. No, that's not how you start with a system. When you're building a system, the first thing you ask yourself is, what's the goal? What are we looking to achieve? What do you hear me say here all the time? Outcome-based business or results-based business. We start with the outcome, then we build the activities around what is a desired outcome. Most people build systems around what they are currently doing, their current set of activities. Instead, a system should be built around what are the results that you're actually trying to achieve. When you're clear on what the results are, then we can figure out the activities. The activities fit within the system. It's not the system fitting around the activities. So if you get this part wrong, you'll have the entire equation wrong because you're starting from the wrong baseline. So what is the outcome that we want to achieve? We reverse engineer the steps to get to the outcome, and then we lock those steps in, making adjustments along the way as necessary. As I've talked about in the past, everything must be field tested, not just lab tested. The results have to be proven. Now, once we are clear on what result can be achieved, the next step, again, is to reverse engineer. And there's something that I find that a lot of entrepreneurs who may be artists at heart have trouble with, because it's hard for them to logically and rationally break down the steps of what they're doing. Some people do things simply because they have a talent for it, or you have a nose for it, or you're just able to figure things out, and you can just do it kind of serendipitously, for lack of a better term, and your skill just comes naturally to you. So you have a hard time articulating or explaining or codifying what you do, simply because that's not how you came about the ability in the first place. You came about the ability because it's something that maybe just kind of came to you. You couldn't explain it to somebody else. You couldn't sit somebody else down and say, okay, here's how I do this. Do this part first, then this part, then this part. And I find that a lot of entrepreneurs have this challenge. Not all entrepreneurs, but I would say about 80% minimum have this challenge of deconstructing how am I actually doing what I'm doing. And when I say deconstructing, I mean deconstructing in a way that you could explain to somebody else how to do the same thing. Could you explain to somebody else how to do this? All right, the good news is I'm really good at asking the incisive questions to figure out exactly what people are doing, even if they can't explain it, and then documenting the answers that they give so that we can create a system, even when the person who is doing the thing might not even look at what they're doing as a system, or if left to their own devices, may not have even been able to do it themselves. Good news is, again, somebody like myself who thinks in systems, some people call us systems thinkers, we can create systems from the knowledge of someone who already has proven results. Any of you has a proven result where you've shown that you can do a certain thing, get a certain outcome. If you can show me that, I can show you the system for getting there. If you, for example, I was outside running this morning, I can run a mile at a 7-minute pace. If you want to run a mile at a 7-minute pace, I can give you a system for how to do it. Any of you who's listening to this right now. Now, if you're actually going to execute on the system is a different story. What your baseline is, yes, could be very different from what anyone else's baseline is. But does the system work? Yes, it does. I guarantee you, you could be running a 7-minute mile if you follow the system. Now, for different people, it may take different amounts of time for you to get to the level that you could do it. But is it achievable? Yes, as long as you are capable of running. Now, if you're capable of actually running, you're capable of getting there. Now, again, some of you, it may take longer. For some of you, it may be faster. Some of you are not that far away from it, but the system is workable. It's not just a talent. Now, is some talent involved? Yes. If you have talent, you can get there sooner than others. But if you don't have talent, you can still get there as long as you're willing to do the work. And executing on what a system tells you to do is known as one thing called discipline. All right, do you have that? Okay, then we're good. Point number 2. Today's topic, once again, is how I build systems. Number 2, keep track of and document everything that works and discard everything that does not work. And or keep note of what doesn't work, but note what it may do, even though it's not what you needed to do right now. I'll tell you why that matters in a moment. When you know you can create an outcome that works, and when I say work, that means you achieve an outcome that you want to achieve. You achieve the desired outcome. When you know you can do that, and you can recall exactly what you did to make it happen, you have the building blocks of a system. Should I say that one again? Let me say that one again, because I want to make sure everybody heard it and everybody understands how I'm making it sound very simple, because this point here is actually very simple. You have these 2 things. You know how to achieve a specific outcome that is what you want to achieve, and you know the exact steps that you took to get there to make that outcome happen. Then you have the building blocks of a system. Those are only 2 things you need. I know what I want to achieve, and I can achieve this thing, and I know exactly how I did it. You have those 2 things, you can build the system. Now, building out the system itself may not be as simple as 2 things, but as long as you got those 2, we got what we need. Now, the next part is the codification. How do you explain this? How do you do that? What about this piece? What about this piece? And your system could be 100 different pieces, depending on what it is, depending on how complex the process may be and how complex the building blocks are. But as long as you got those 2, you have the potential for a system. Without those 2, you don't have the potential for a system. So we got to make sure those 2 are in place. And this is why I just said to all of you, any of you who's ever achieved an outcome that is something that you wanted to achieve or something that you know others want to achieve, if you can do it and you can explain it, you have the building blocks. All right, there is a system somewhere in there. All right, it might not be right here in front of you right now. You might not have it in your hands right now today, but there are the building blocks of a system as long as you got those 2. Now, if the things you are doing are random and you don't know what has led to a specific outcome, and or you cannot deconstruct to figure out what you did to achieve the outcome, then we don't have everything we need to work with. Good news is we can figure that out. That's actually figure outable, as we said. I think there's a book out there called Everything is Figure Outable, or at least a podcast, or somebody says something like that. Everything's figure outable. And it's true. Everything is figure outable if there is a thing. So if you know how to bake a cake that people like that cake, you can make a system out of baking that cake. If you know how to make a cold call and turn that cold call into an appointment, and that appointment into a sale, and that sale into money, then you have the building blocks of a system. If you know how to have a child and raise up that child to where they can read and write and speak properly and conduct themselves properly out in public, you have the building blocks of a system. How do we know this? Because there are books and manuals and courses and programs on all 3 of the things that I just said. Are there people out there that can teach you how to bake a cake? Yes, it's usually called a cookbook or a recipe book. Are there books and programs out there on parenting? Yes, there are. There are thousands, probably millions of them out there these days. And there was one other thing I said. I forgot even what I said. If you know how to put together a book, and you can write a book and get it published and you can sell it to people, you have the building blocks of a system. Are there people out there who teach other people how to write books? Yes, there are. All right, those are all systems. A system is anything where you can show somebody else how to achieve an outcome, and you know that as long as they follow what you tell them, they'll achieve the outcome. That's a system. Period. That's it. This is not a real complicated thing. Again, it can be complicated depending on what it is, but the basis points of what makes a system are actually very simple, as I just explained to you. There's only 2 things. Now, again, if you're doing things randomly and don't even know how you did it, you can still make a system out of it. You just need someone who understands systems to look at what you're doing and deconstruct it and or use you to help them do the deconstructing. For example, years ago, my grandmother, when I was a kid, she used to make bread pudding. And bread pudding is this southern delicacy. And some of you have had bread pudding before, but interestingly enough, it gets made very differently by different people. So my grandmother made this bread pudding that I really liked. And once I called her when I was in college because I wanted her to give me the recipe so I can make it myself. And she said, well, I don't have a recipe because I don't go off of anything. I just kind of go off of a feel. I do it by eye. She measured everything by eye. So she said, I can't give you a recipe. But then when I came home from college, she made some bread pudding for me and gave it to me. But it didn't solve my problem because I still to this day don't know how to make her bread pudding. And if I wanted to figure out how to make grandma's bread pudding, here's what I would do. I would go to grandma's house and I would say, okay, grandma, I want you to make bread pudding and I'm going to watch you do everything that you do. And when she pulls out the flour and puts it in, I'm going to measure how much flour it is. She doesn't measure, but I'm going to measure. So now I know exactly how much flour. Now here's how much salt. Here's how much sugar. Here's how much apples and raisins or whatever else that she does. She doesn't measure any of these things. I'm going to measure every single one so that I know the exact amounts. And now we have a system, also known as a recipe for how to make the bread pudding. Now I go home and I do the same things that I wrote down and let's see if it comes out the same as grandma's bread pudding. If it does, we got it. If it doesn't, I may have to go back to the drawing board and do it again. Or maybe the first time when I'm at grandma's house and she's making the bread pudding, I'll bring a camera and just film and record us going through everything. So if I missed on a step of what I documented, I can look at the video and see, okay, well, I documented it as that, but that looks like maybe a half a cup of sugar rather than a quarter cup of sugar. So something like that. And that way I can end up with a system. All right. That's why when you're putting a system together, you must be clear on what exactly you're looking to achieve, then get clear on what you have achieved, then get clear on the steps that were taken in order to get to that achievement. When everything is clear and you can explain things clearly, then you have a system. Now, most of the time what happens is people drop the ball on one of these 3 points. What do I want to achieve? What did I actually achieve? And how did I get there? What do I want to achieve? What did I actually achieve? How did I get there? All right. Sometimes you don't achieve the same thing that you were looking to achieve. But if you deconstruct what you did achieve, you may come upon something that you weren't even trying to come upon that becomes a valuable thing for you anyway. Something that becomes profitable for you in the long run. For example, there are many products out there that did not start out as what the person was aiming to do, but they ended up as a very valuable thing. For example, the United States of America. Christopher Columbus, the famous story is that he was trying to find a route from Spain to India. If you look on the map, Spain to India, Christopher Columbus should have been going kind of in a very different direction than where he was actually going. Let's pull it up on the map right now. So let's see. So I'm going to zoom out and here's Spain. Let's find India on the map. India is over here and Spain is over here. So Christopher Columbus should have been sailing to the west. And looking at the map, looks like Christopher Columbus maybe was going to go all the way around the southern end of Africa. That's a very long route to take from Spain to India if you're just going to go through water, because otherwise he would have to go across land. And I don't think he was trying to do that. He was sailing. So he absolutely would have had to go through water. He would have had to go all the way around the southern part of Africa and all the way up past Madagascar into the Arabian Sea, the Indian Ocean, then the Arabian Sea, and he would have found India. But Christopher Columbus ended up going the opposite direction and he ended up finding Puerto Rico, Cuba, and then eventually the United States, which at the time they were calling the New World. He called the people Indians because he thought he had landed in India, but he was actually going the opposite direction. He was not in India. How he thought that was India, I have no idea. Christopher Columbus was not much of a sailor. A lot of you don't know the story. Christopher Columbus was not a sailor, actually. He was actually a merchant. What he was a hell of a salesperson. But while trying to find India, he landed on what became America, and here we are, United States of America. Can we say that was a profitable discovery, even though this wasn't what he was looking for? Yes, we can. Any of you ever heard of sticky notes? Sticky notes by 3M, the company that makes them. Sticky notes was not what they were trying to achieve. The person who was trying to make sticky notes was actually trying to create a very strong adhesive that did not come off so easily. But when he created one that had a temporary sticking power and it could stick to things, but it wasn't so strong that you couldn't take it off, he noted that there may be something here, even though that wasn't what he was looking for. And somebody came up with a novel idea like, wait a minute, maybe we can sell these and people can use these as little sticky notes, a temporary note that they can stick on something. And sticky notes to this day is the highest selling product for 3M's company. Sticky notes are to 3M what the iPhone is to Apple. All right, most of their money comes from selling this product, even though they weren't even trying to make this product in the first place. Another example is that again, before I get to my third example, is that again, an idea that someone wasn't even trying to come up with, but they came up with it and ended up being profitable for them. Yes, it was. Another one. Baldwin, that's me. When I was playing basketball, I took footage from a VHS tape. Some of you don't even know what that is. You can Google it or ask your parents. And I took that footage to an audio-visual store. They transferred that footage onto a data CD. Some of you don't know what that is either. Put the data CD into a desktop computer. Most of you know what that is. And I uploaded it to this new website called youtube.com. All of you know what youtube.com is. This is 2005. Now, I was not putting footage on YouTube because I was trying to become an influencer or build a brand on the internet. There was no such, these terms didn't exist in 2005. But because I put the footage up there, people started noticing it, and I noticed that they were noticing. I noticed that they wanted something that I could provide. I started providing it, and long story short, it became a thing that I wasn't even trying to do. Can we agree that me putting content, again, not a term we were using back then, on the internet, even when I wasn't trying to become some type of content creator on the internet, can we agree that that was a profitable idea that I stumbled upon, even though that's not even what I was trying to do? I think we can say yes. Only reason I put the video on YouTube because I just didn't want to leave it on the VHS, because if you lose the VHS tape, it's over. But I figured if you put the content on the internet kind of can travel around because everything's kind of stored in the computer, quote unquote. Not really, but you get what I'm saying. So I put that content on the internet just because I thought the internet was a better place for safekeeping than a VHS tape. That's the only reason I did it. But in the process of doing that, I stumbled upon what became my brand, and Work on Your Game, and Dre All Day, and DreAllDay.com, and YouTube, and the basketball stuff, and all the other things that I did started with the seedling of putting footage on the internet when I wasn't even trying to become a person known for putting footage on the internet. So sometimes when you're trying to create a system to do one thing, you may stumble upon doing a whole bunch of other things. But here's the key. You got to actually be doing something. The key here, folks, is you were actually doing something. Christopher Columbus, he wasn't the greatest salesperson in the world. He wasn't the greatest sailor in the world. He's a great salesperson. He wasn't the greatest sailor in the world. But because he took the time and the effort to try and find a place, he ended up finding a different place. And we all know his name to this very day, regardless of your personal feelings on Christopher Columbus. 3M was trying to make an adhesive. They made sticky notes. All of you have used a sticky note. I was just trying to get a job playing basketball. I ended up building a brand on the internet. Again, all of you have heard of my brand on the internet because you're listening to this episode right now. This wouldn't exist if it wasn't for those YouTube videos back in the day. So many people just drop the ball on one of these 3 points. And that's how somebody ends up not having a system, even though they may have created an outcome. So you got to be able to deconstruct what you did, how it happened, and why. And then, hey, maybe we could do more of this. Maybe this is the thing. I thought the thing was India, but the thing is actually America. I thought the thing was adhesive, but the thing is sticky notes. I thought the thing was play pro basketball, which I actually did. But the real thing, the thing that became more profitable for me in the long run, in terms of my brand name, in terms of my reach, in terms of my audience, was not playing professional basketball overseas. It was the internet. And here we are. Point number 3. Today's topic, once again, is how I build systems. Number 3, systems are boring on purpose. Systems are boring on purpose. There's nothing exciting about a system for the most part. Why? Because it does the same stuff over and over again. That's the whole point. Systems are predictive, tedious, repetitive, and should be generally predictable. You should be able to predict exactly what a system is going to do. A highly disciplined person operates like a system. Like, you know what they're going to do, you know where they're going to be, you know exactly how they're going to get things done, you know what they're going to say. Most of the time, that's highly disciplined people operate like a system, even though they're human. And that's the point. A system should not be novel. You should never be surprised by a system. There's no rabbit being pulled out of the hat. All right, systems are all about producing the same outcomes the same way over and over and over again. This is why people who work at retail corporate jobs often look bored at work, because the job is run by a system. I go to the Chipotle, for example, and the workers are just standing there and they look really bored. And yes, they'll make the burrito bowl, but it's boring because there's only so much variety you can get when you're doing the same stuff over and over and over again. Chipotle loves the fact that it's the same stuff over and over and over again, because it's clear that there's a bunch of customers who will pay for that. So we want to give them the same experience every single time. And within the next 5 to 10 years, those workers that you see looking bored, standing behind the the glass there at Chipotle, they won't be there. What will be there is a robot, and you're going to tell the robot what you want. You're not even going to push buttons. You're going to tell the robot what you want. It will understand your language, understand your words. It will transcribe it, and then it will make the bowl right there in front of you. And if you interrupt it and say, you know what, I don't want brown rice, I want white rice, it will change it out for you. Or that's too much lettuce. It'll take a little bit off for you. There'll be robots that do exactly this while you're talking to it, do it for you, cash you out and everything. You'll never talk to a single human. So those humans who get bored at Chipotle, don't worry. All right, you're going to be relieved of your misery very soon. Why? Because computers can operate systems better than humans can. That's why. A computer is more reliable operating a system than a human, because humans sometimes have bad days. Humans get distracted. Humans be looking at their phones. Humans have conversations with other people. Humans got to go to the bathroom. Humans go on vacation. Humans get sick. Humans have bad days. Humans got all kind of shit going on. Computers ain't got nothing going on except what you tell them to do. All right, that's why corporations are going to be the first to take on computers, and then it's going to go to the mom and pops, and then pretty much everybody's going to be using computers, and only people profiting from them are going to be people who learn how to build systems, and the people who are shit out of luck are going to be the people who don't. So you're going to be on one side or the other of this equation, every one of you listening to me right now. Don't say you were not warned. That's where we're going. So the system tells you what to do. You do the same stuff over and over again, no matter who comes in, and I just gave Chipotle as an example. And again, the workers look bored for a reason. Other than talking to each other, there ain't nothing to do. Chicken bowl, steak bowl, quesadilla, bag of chips. Thank you. Thanks. Bye. Have a good day. They don't even tell you that. No, they don't even say hi to you anymore. They just look at you. All right. It's supposed to be like that. Now, this is great for the company. Again, not so great for the person who's working there. But again, I told you, they're about to be replaced and taken out of their misery very soon. For you, the entrepreneur, the high-level professional listening to this, I would bet that the systems that produce outcomes for you, they will be exciting enough that you don't mind doing the same things over and over again. That's what you want to do. You want to create a system that, even though it's producing the same stuff over and over again, it's the stuff that you want, so you're happy. Any of you who's in really good physical shape, yes, you go to the gym and you can do a lot of the same workouts over and over again, but it's producing an outcome that you're excited about having. You got this great body and these six-pack abs and this small waist and whatever it is that you want. You're happy doing the same thing over and over again because you like the outcome that you get from it. Now, if you can get these outcomes consistently and predictably, then you're happy with it. Am I right about this? Exactly. All that said, let's recap today's class. This is how I build systems. We talk about systems a lot here, so let's talk about exactly what my process is for building a system. Doesn't matter what it is or who or what it is for. Number one, we start with outcomes, not activities. You build the activities into the desired outcome, not the outcomes into the activities. Number two, keep track of and document everything that works, discard what does not work, or take note of what does not work. Because sometimes the thing that is not even where you're trying to go ends up being a great idea, such as Christopher Columbus discovering America, 3M discovering sticky notes, Baldwin discovering putting content on the internet. Number three, systems are boring on purpose. It's the same thing, the same way every time. They're supposed to be boring. The challenge that many people have when it comes to systems that I didn't even mention is that a lot of people are looking for novelty and excitement all the time, something new, when the reality is success in the long run as a professional is about doing the same shit every single day, not new stuff, the same stuff over and over again. I just put an article out about this. When you're a professional athlete, most of the job is the same stuff, same drills, same warm up, same cool down, same routines over and over and over again. If you're a fighter, is jab, power hand. Left hand jab, right hand straight right hand. Left hook, right uppercut. It's the same stuff over and over and over again. You're a basketball player. It's dribble, set a screen, set a screen away from the ball, move without the ball, grab a rebound, play defense, box out. It's the same stuff over and over and over again. You got to fall in love with the repetition of the process. And the most successful people out there are those who fall in love with the fundamentals and the repetitions of the boring, tedious processes. That's what a system is. That said, you want to build a system out of yourself for your personal life, for your business life, for anything else that you do. Go to workonyourgameuniversity.com. Have me as your direct coach. Let's get to systematizing everything that you want to achieve in life so that it happens over and over and over again every single day, regardless of what's happening around you. Work on your game. Dre all day.